Thanks to the Steam platform, there are tons of amazing games for PC players to purchase, download, and enjoy. The Steam Greenlight program is helping indie developers to push out their products, giving players even more choices with tons of games released on the service each month. Steam also makes it incredibly easy for players to join one another in games, thanks to the handy friends list and invite features. This makes the platform the perfect place for players to hop online and enjoy cooperative adventures together. There are tons of great co-op games on Steam to choose from, ranging from AAA releases to indie darlings. Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Game Rant. I'm Casey, and today we're going to be going over 10 of the best co-op games on Steam. Starting our list off at number 10, we've got Valheim. Valheim is an indie smash hit that has players taking on the role of a Viking. To survive, new adventurers will need to construct shelter, craft weapons, and collect materials to fasten armor and other tools. Similar to The Forest and its sequel, players will find themselves weak and helpless at the start, as they're forced to avoid or tangle with some pretty difficult enemies. Valheim is a bit more Dark Souls-like in its combat approach, and players will need to learn enemy attacks and behaviors in order to defeat most of them. There are even some imposing bosses to take down. The best part is that players can bring a friend along to make the journey a bit easier. At number 9, we've got Don't Starve Together. Don't Starve was another indie release that took the gaming world by storm, quickly developing a cult following thanks to its punishing game world, seemingly unfair mechanics, and alluring storybook-like art style. Played from a top-down perspective, players will have to survive by foraging for food and other items while building shelters and avoiding an array of deadly monsters found in each procedurally generated playthrough. Don't Starve Together lets players experience all the struggles found in the original release with a group, helping one another to survive by picking from a series of interesting characters, each with their own abilities and stats. At number 8, we've got Payday 2. Those that enjoy heisting their way through Grand Theft Auto 5 and GTA Online will find a lot to enjoy with Payday 2. This release takes the heist concept and crafts an entire release around it, giving groups of players access to an array of missions, bank jobs, and other types of heists to complete. Players will need to keep a level head as they attempt to avoid guards, disable security cameras, take hostages, and perform other heist tasks while avoiding capture. What makes Payday 2 so engaging is that players can complete missions in a variety of ways. Sometimes they'll need to attack things from a stealthy perspective, and sometimes they can run in guns blazing. There are also an array of character types and special abilities that players can unlock as they play. At number 7, we've got Killing Floor 2. Tripwire's Killing Floor 2 has had a longer than most shelf life. While not quite as popular as Valve's own zombie co-op shooter, the game has maintained a decent player base on Steam, and it's quite frequently on sale for dirt cheap. Technically, Killing Floor 2 can be played solo, but it's not recommended nor particularly enjoyable. As such, this is one title that should be played alongside a few other people. Wave-based levels are not unusual for the genre, but it's a tried and tested structure and formula that can provide accessible and constant thrills when executed well. Killing Floor 2 proves as much, and the game has more to offer than just an enjoyable loop. The title's classes are arguably the game's highlight, as the perks all bring something fresh to the plate. Testing different team configurations adds a great deal of replayability, and each class can be leveled up to expand its abilities. Killing Floor 2 implements these light RPG elements well, and their inclusion elevates what could have otherwise been a fun but forgettable shooter. At number 6, we've got Sea of Thieves. When it set sail in 2018, Rare's High Seas project hit immediate rough waters. However, the game managed to weather that storm to come out on the other side. Now more than 5 years later, Sea of Thieves is firmly established as a cornerstone of the online scene that can satisfy both co-op and PvP fans, along with the occasional lone pirate. While not devoid of direction, Rare designed the game to encourage players to seek out their own adventures, which is generally easier to do when part of a crew. Even if it's not narratively dense, Sea of Thieves is still stuffed with content and objectives. There are missions, tall tales, factions, treasure hunts, and timed events to keep players engaged. More importantly, a crew can simply spend their days exploring the sandbox and embracing whatever comes their way, be it a kraken or another pirate ship. At number 5, we've got Barotrauma. After a few years in early access, Barotrauma finally made its full debut in March 2023. The survival game drops players in a submarine that's exploring the depths of an alien ocean, one crawling with entities far scarier than a great white shark. Along with a campaign catering to solo players, Barotrauma has 2 modes designed specifically with co-op in mind, and they arguably showcase the game at its peak. In the co-op mode, players take charge of individual roles in the submarine, each of which has a crucial part to play in a mission's success and the crew's general survival. Even when surrounded by friends, the game manages to still be excruciatingly stressful in the best possible way. At number 4, we've got Risk of Rain 2. After creating something special with 2013's Risk of Rain, Hopeful Games repeated the feat with its sequel. Risk of Rain 2 is more ambitious and bigger than its predecessor, but they're undoubtedly cut from the same cloth. After picking a class, players are dropped in fairly open levels where they must work their way toward an escape point, a process that involves blasting armies of enemies and collecting all sorts of loot. The latter is Risk of Rain 2's main focus, as the game loads to deck players out in all sorts of empowering gear that'll make them feel like they could take on the entire world without breaking a sweat, although they might break out into hives once they get a load of some of the crazy bosses that they'll come across. As a single-player experience, Risk of Rain 2 is an absolute blast and well worth the recommendation. As a co-op roguelike, the game ranks among the best on Steam. Risk of Rain 2's class system adds an element of strategy to multiplayer since players are inclined to work as a unit rather than 4 individuals who just happen to be in proximity of each other. It should be noted that players need to unlock the different classes, but that process is entertaining in its own right. At number 3, we've got Portal 2. Pairs of players looking for a great puzzle game should put Portal 2 at the top of their list. Although this release has a great single-player campaign, it also features a robust cooperative storyline that stands as its own adventure. Players will control one of 2 bots and be subject to a variety of GLaDOS's seemingly sinister Portal-based tests. This is a fantastic puzzle game and a great use of Portal's unique gameplay mechanics. The cooperative play is well thought out and will force players to work together to escape each room. Portal 2 overall is one of my favorite games of all time, and I think all players should check it out at least once. And the cooperative experience just makes it even better. At number 2, we've got Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic puts players in the shoes of a resource collection team as they're sent off on an array of missions to collect minerals and other valuable items. In this futuristic campy first-person shooter, players will need to band together as one of 4 different classes in order to ensure that each mission goes off without a hitch, checking certain tasks off their to-do list like collecting a specific amount of resources, defending a specific area, or subduing certain threats. Deep Rock Galactic is a great first-person shooter that offers a challenge at higher levels while simultaneously promoting a fun and enjoyable environment. And taking the top spot of our list is Zombie Army 4 Dead War. A zombie co-op game on Steam is always going to live in Left 4 Dead's shadow, but Zombie Army 4 does enough to differentiate itself from Valve's eternal masterpiece. For one, Rebellion's project is a third-person shooter, which might not sound like a big deal, but in actuality provides a fairly different feel. The unapologetically silly campaign keeps things moving at a blistering pace, ensuring hordes of the undead are always right around the corner. This mode is fairly lengthy as well, and while not packed with surprises, the story constantly shakes up its locations to keep things interesting. And there you have it, folks, 10 of the best co-op games on Steam. Let us know in the comments if there's any co-op games on Steam that are your favorites. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, be sure to visit GameRant.com for more top-notch gaming content. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care for now.